Tej gave a very good presentation and like how the application, because of maybe increasing usage of maybe your UPI transaction or maybe your OTT streaming, and now all of a sudden this AI boom which we are witnessing, which is going to create a very big demand for data center. And when we talk about data center, maybe in gigawatt terms, like almost 100 gigawatt of capacity being added, and now 100 more addition going to come in coming few years. So when we talk about maybe a 1 gigawatt of capacity of data center, like what actually are we talking about? So we personally have visited few data center in India around the maybe your Mumbai and other few locations. So we thought of giving a virtual tour and maybe explain in a 3D view how a data center looks like, and from that perspective make you explain maybe 1 gigawatt of data center will require how much capex, and let's break that capex down. So right now what you are witnessing is a bird's eye view of an entire data center facility which is be presented to you, and we can break the complete capex into maybe 5 broader verticals. And like these 5 verticals are maybe your from electrical, which consist of uh, transformers, you have your gensets, because it is again related to power, so you need maybe power coming from the grid, so you need a transformer, then you need backups, for that you have gensets or maybe UPS, and then there is grid interconnection. So all those are required to maybe bring that power to the data center facility. So that is one big part of the data center capex. And maybe to quantify this, so just to maybe break it down further, or like 1 gigawatt of data center capacity which is being put down by these hyperscalers or these enterprise players. So 1 gigawatt of data center, depending on its type, will roughly be around 10 to 15 billion dollar. So maybe in rupee term, that is what we are talking about, 1 lakh to 1.5 lakh crore, that is per gigawatt. And maybe what we are talking about is globally 100 gigawatt of capacity addition which is going to come in coming few years. And electrical, in that 1 gigawatt of capex is almost around 20 to 25% of your capex, which includes your transformers, you have your gensets, you have UPS and other grid interconnection infra. And coming down to maybe another big part of the capex, cooling is again one of the most underrated or not that hyped area of a data center. But if we look at maybe in the overall context of data center, because those servers which are being put in inside the data center, that generate a lot of heat, and that heat needs to be cooled down, and that is where this cooling systems needs to be highly technical, highly qualified to make systems run without any breakdown. So cooling consists almost around your maybe 15% of the overall capex for the total data center. Even here there are technologies evolving. So maybe from currently we have a lot of air cooled thermal cooling data centers, and now we are witnessing an increasing demand of liquid cooling demand set. So we have in the cooling system, we have your chillers, we have your cooling towers, then we have your maybe those air handler units like CRAH units or CRAC units, and then there are maybe chillers, then there are cooling distribution units. So all these are part of the cooling system, which in the overall context of data center helps the system run efficiently. And maybe just to break it further, like in the overall data center, this is again one critical part of the capex because a big land area is required, a lot of civil infrastructure and all those maybe site development work where we have huge pipelines or maybe optic networks laid down beneath the structure or beneath the land, which helps again the connectivity to maybe run efficiently and effectively. So, I mean, building will depend on the location which where we are putting up the data center. Maybe in India, that land would be a little cheap compared to global areas and maybe North America or Europe. But roughly again, this is again your 10-12% of the capex, like the land, the civil or the complete site development work. And then maybe for that infrastructure which has been laid down, that needs to be maintained or with proper safety and security, because the kind of data which or the maybe security which the data needs is critical. I mean, it cannot go out, it cannot be leaked. So all those system and safety equipments needs to be put in the data center. So these are like must areas, but then in the overall context, that capex is maybe low, maybe sub 5% of the overall data center capex. And coming to the most critical part of the data center, so we have the IT equipment where you have maybe like we all have been hearing how big Nvidia has become in last few years, but what has been the reason behind this? So you see like in a single 1 gigawatt of data center, almost around 40 to 50% of your capex is IT equipment, and in those the CPU servers, the storage system or maybe your operating systems or networking, all these are made by or maybe the critical components of these ecosystem are being made by these companies like Nvidia's or AMD's. So that is almost around 40 to 50% of your capex. So just to quickly summarize, like maybe this is 1 gigawatt of data center which looks from a bird's eye view. We are going to cover all the three critical areas like the IT equipment, the cooling and some bit of the electrical or the optic network.